Hello, business owners. How are you doing? This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman-PMC, LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. I've assisted companies in manufacturing quality and also special processes along with ISO certification and all derivatives. We have a special guest here from Visa International Service Association because one of his employees sits on ANSI's board. And her name is Christina Breen, and I'd like to bring this to the forefront and ask Mr. Alfred Kelly. Here he is, the CEO and Chief Executive of Visa International. How are you doing there, sir? I just want to let you know that you are mingling yourself by sitting on ANSI's board. The chairman of the board in 2019, Russ Chaney, I'm sure your employee knows him, Christina Breen, because she sits there with him. He called me up because I basically exposed an impropriety in laboratory accreditation. And he called me up on a Friday and said, half a nut, fuck you. And because he's a chairman, I've gone through all the methodologies and all the principles that form ANSI when it comes to improprieties that an individual who sits on ANSI and represents ANSI, he represented ANSI in a very poor light. I'm going to ask you to sit down a second while I explain this to you, Alfred. In 2022, in June, they had an opening for director at large for ANSI's board, and I applied because right now there is nobody who really represents the little guy, the small mom and pop shop there, not the businesses that are $1 million and up. You want less than that so that you have a footprint in with the OEMs that these small mom and pop shops supply materials to, etc. So what happened is this: I supplied them with a 54-page document just like this, Alfred. If you want, I'll gladly send you a copy of it. But what I'm asking you is your mission statement for Visa International, is that half a nut, fuck you? Because if you, you know what they say, birds that flock together, birds of a feather flock together. Hopefully not. But anyway, put this 54-page document in with 16 letters of recommendation. I sent 30 out to customers. 16 came back. That's more than half, I would say. And I had to fill 9 questions out as to what I'm going to be doing, Mr. Kelly, with Alfred, with ANSI, as far as what are the initiatives that I can assist push with ANSI's directives. And I filled it out. I thought I filled it out very well, except when I found out that Mr. Russ Chaney at the bottom sent a congratulatory couple sentences. He said, "The committee appreciates your interest in serving in an ANSI leadership position and your willingness to provide us this additional information. Sincerely, Russ Chaney, Chair of the ANSI Nominating Committee 2020. So we are going to move on with this because I'm going to let you listen pretty soon, Alfred, as to what this guy said. And it's an embarrassment to your organization and to the person who sits on ANSI. That's a shame. In 2013, we were basically approved by ASQ, the American Society for Quality. We gave a speech there. David Levy, who was a Region 3 director of the American Society for Quality, and at the time, the ASQ and ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, owned ANAB, the American National Accrediting Board, 50-50. So when he gave us this approval and said, in fact, ANAB supports you, sir, it was absolutely something we didn't really need, but it was a nice thing to get a pat on the back, basically. And then in 2016, Al, we ended up with another approval from ANAB itself. You have Randy Doherty, who was then the technical advisor for ANAB. He was also the principal on the IAF and also a principal on the IF Tax Form 990, and he was the treasurer. He sent us this email that stated that we could either join ANAB or IAF. It's all voluntary. When you pull back the skin of this cadaver, it is not voluntary. It's far from it. But the other 50% component that we received was this from Randy, and he said, but we recognize and accept that there are conformity assessment bodies and accreditation bodies, such as your body and your accreditation body, that are not part of the IAF and ILAC structure, nor would we want to be, because in 2016, you will find out, Alfred, that the IAF was taken over by a communist Chinese national, Zhao Jinwu. You'll see it in a flowchart pretty soon. And I could not, as a proud American, join either ANAB or the IF because of that, and also because of cybersecurity issues, because every one of the government agencies sitting on ANSI have had their data taken. FBI, DOD, DOJ, FDA, FTC, FAA, they've all had it. EPA, they've all had it, all of it, EPA even. So here we go, Al. We discovered after analysis as well, Al, and being the proud American that we are, okay, and we will always stand by our flag. Unlike ANSI and ANAB, they don't stand by anybody's flag. Whatever the wind blows, they're there, because you know why? And I say this again, because you have Russ Chaney saying their mission statement is half a nut, fuck you. As a matter of fact, this video, Al, is about, here you go, ANSI's mission statement, half a nut, fuck you, by Russ Chaney, chairman, silenced by corporate member Alfred Kelly, of the CEO of Visa International Service Association. Yes. So we discovered that ANSI-ANAB are underwriters for IAF and ILAC, the International Accreditation Forum, incorporated in Delaware, that was run between 2015 and 2021. The damage is very badly done. Communist Chinese national Zhao Jinwu, he was watching over ANSI and ANAB then, and also Lockheed Martin and so many other American-based companies sitting on ANSI. A underwriter, if nobody knows, this is what an underwriter is. And we're going to continue on, and we're going to show you this, Alan, that ANSI is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental entity, a corporation that has federal agencies and corporations on board. And here we go, Al. Let me educate you, because you're. I don't know if Christina Breen understands what she's involved with, thus making your company tarnished by her affiliation, and you, I guess, condoning the fact that she's on an organization that's mission statement is half a nut, fuck you, not by me, by Russ Chaney, the chairman. And here it is. In 2015, Randy Doherty, then the vice president of ANAB, chairman of the IAF, and also the principal on the IAF tax report, 990 tax form, handed over leadership to this communist Chinese national, Zhao Jinwu, who's been involved with our quality, Al, since 1994. He is also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services in Beijing, China, and he is also. We have pictures of him. You'll see him down below in the, information that's down below this video in the description. You'll also find out that he was in the Wuhan, China lab issuing a ISO 17025 certification. That's what caused all of this mess, believe it or not. He is mandated by his country of origin, Communist China, to take your data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. You have ANSI, took over complete control over ANAB in 2018. You have both federal agencies and corporations on their board, and that's only a sample. The worst part about it, Al, is if you have an ANAB accredited registration on your wall, then you are basically compromised. Any veteran who maintains an ANSI-ANAB certificate is compromised. And you're going to say this because I got an email from a guy probably about 5 years ago. He says, Daryl, we business owners look at an ISO certificate as a nuisance. We have to keep our balls in the air. Well, with him saying that statement, I don't think he has any balls in any air. But you have 10 different companies, registrars in Communist China that can issue ANAB accredited certifications. Isn't that a cybersecurity issue, Alfred? I would say so. I did some research, Al, on laboratory after listing and doing, and since we're since we issue certifications as well, and looking at the integrity of the certificate and the standard. The standard is good, but it's the problematic thing when it's implemented by a human being in some ways, because this is what we found, that failures in forensic labs are happening in accredited laboratories. We also have further information here that shows you many, many failures in laboratory accreditation. We also pulled under deposition, the factor that a Pamela Sale, the Vice President of Laboratory Accreditation for ANSI-ANAB. She stated under deposition that she said one of the issues is that there is no commonly agreed upon set of standards that forensic labs around the country have to follow. Instead, there are informal guidelines that labs can choose to follow or not. So that means, Alfred, as I'm a quality specialist, an expert in 40 years, that if you have problematic areas like that where you don't have guidelines to follow, certain criteria, then why are you issuing a quality certificate? So I expose the factor, Al, that A2LA, which is an accrediting body sitting on ANSI, right over by the Sheriff Department, forensic labs, and also the Department of Forensic Science that the FBI runs, that has been a faux pas. In fact, several years ago, took their certificate away. ANAB had to drop the certificate because there were such glaring failures in the laboratory. On top of that, A2LA sits on IAF at the time, watched over and controlled by Communist China, 2015 to 2021. Ashley Morton, an employee of A2LA at the time in 2019, wrote underneath my video saying that A2LA does not sit on ANSI. They are both American accreditation bodies with equal standing. We go further, Al, and we find out that Russ Chaney is the chairman. He is the point man. He is the representative of ANSI and what ANSI means and what it means to the world, and what it means to the world around, because ANSI is an international standard. His mission statement was changed. I don't know what their mission statement used to be. I think it's to facilitate standards throughout the world. I think it's to facilitate half and that fuck you, because as a chairman, that's basically the mission statement he told me about. And I'm going to say this. I exposed that to Ashley Morton about A2LA. And this is what Russ Chaney said. And I want you to listen, and listen good, Alfred. I want you to listen to this, okay? And listen good.
Russ Chaney, please leave a message and I'll return your call as soon as possible. Record you.
Yes. Half a nut, fuck you, he said. On top of it, looking at the businesses involved, the corporations and federal agencies, and the board, which is made up of them, it appears that they approve and condone half a nut, fuck you. But Al, the progressive resistance to all of this is that I went to ANSI in New York and looked around. There was no identifying signs that ANSI was in the building. I went down several weeks ago. You'll find those videos in the description as well, and on my website. That I went down several weeks ago to picket ANSI on L Street, 1899 L Street Northwest in Washington, D.C., because I deserved and I demand an apology. Not a written apology anymore. Those days are numbered and gone. Absolutely gone. It is absolutely disgusting, and it's a display of management failure like nobody's business. So what happened here is this. I looked around for signs. There were no signs. As a matter of fact, I sent a letter in 2019 asking Joe Bathia for an apology. He sent it on to his lawyer, Jameson Carroll, who said that he didn't hear anything wrong with that audio file. Nothing. They played stupid. As a CEO making that type of money that Joe makes, $2 million a year, no wonder why his eyes are bloodshot, because he can't make a decision. He is a crappy manager, and I think that Russ Chaney was talking about Joe Bathia's management style and the lawyer by saying this. So I say this again to you, if I may, Alfred, that your employee is sitting on this board. It is absolutely deplorable. An $84 million organization doesn't have enough chutzpah to say, I'm sorry, Daryl. That's all it needed to be. So I applied for a director at large position, and they're not going to give it to me. They talk about impartial oversight. They got no oversight. Look at the failures, Al. Look at the recalls. Look at Pfizer, for example, 15 million vials of COVID vaccine taken back because of contamination. Pfizer skipping quality processes and procedures and standards. Johnson & Johnson, same thing. And they got 60 million vials returned for contamination. The worst thing is that both those corporations sit on ANSI's board by the FDA, USDA, CDC, NIH, FBI, FTC, EPA. All of these federal agencies are in bed together with these corporations, and they suck. So I'm going to ask you again, is your mission statement half a nut fuck you? Well, Russ Chaney is saying that. Your employee is sitting there. What does it say about your management style? That's what I'm asking you. 203-556-1493 or Daryl, TQRS at yahoo.com. And I'm asking you, business owners, do you think that's right? Don't I deserve an apology? I would say so, but it's a little bit too late now. All of these people will be exposed, from corporate to even government. And I have all the data. You will see. Enjoy the show, because this is not good.